Just want to start off by saying, nice to meet you, Mr. Grimshaw, Miss Cameron, and Mr. Nakano.
There you go.
Thank you for having me.
And what's your name?
My name is Chloe Dalmasio, and I'm a junior at Arnold Beckman High School. And like many other high school students, I'm constantly looking for community service opportunities and volunteer events in my area. Unfortunately, this process is time-consuming, and whenever I do stumble across some random event, it just doesn't align with my interests or passions. Recognizing this problem, I decided to take this matter into my own hands, and I created my own nonprofit called Coding Creativity, directed towards teaching kids in underserved communities how to code through creative outlets. In this picture, you can see that last summer, I hosted a summer camp at the Boys and Girls Club of Tustin to teach kids how to code through different creativity works and creative works. But unfortunately, finding volunteers as a nonprofit founder was difficult. It was hard to find people that were available for the entire week, but also finding students that actually cared about our mission and what we stood for. Understanding this problem for myself, I decided to conduct a survey to see if other people also had this problem. I asked students at my high school, Arnold Beckman High School, and local nonprofits in my area. And I found that 67% of students found finding volunteer opportunities moderately to very difficult. And 78% of nonprofits rated finding volunteers moderately to very difficult. It is clear that this is a problem that demands a solution. And that's where I introduce you CauseConnect. CauseConnect bridges this gap between students looking for meaningful opportunities and nonprofits looking for passionate volunteers. Starting with the event creation feature, nonprofits can easily post their events and opportunities so students can sign up. User-friendly platform allows students to easily find these opportunities and allows nonprofits to easily post them. Looking at the student interface, we can see there's a home page and a sign-in page for students to create accounts, tracking their hours, as well as finding opportunities based on their favorited categories, of course aligning with their interests and passions. But if they're looking for something more specific, they can also use the search bar, sorting by area and even more categories. But if you're still a little confused, I created a prototype demo that shows you exactly how the app works for both students and nonprofits. So let's take a look. It's designed with two distinct interfaces, one for students and one for nonprofits. On the student interface, it will ask you to create a student profile, and then it will ask you what your passions and interests are. On the home page, you will find volunteer opportunities based on your selected interest. When you click on a category, it will show you nearby opportunities that you can easily sign up for. You can also use the search bar to find more specific opportunities based on things like location, categories, and more. You can also access your profile page where you'll be able to view your current and past opportunities as well as edit your profile. On the nonprofit interface, you will be asked to create a nonprofit profile. And on the home page, you can easily create opportunities and view your upcoming and past opportunities. There's also a place for you to view volunteer signups on the bottom. And lastly, you can view your profile page and edit your nonprofit information if needed. So now that you have a better understanding as to how CauseConnect works, let's look at our target customers. Starting with high school students aged 14 to 21, which are our target students, you can see that there are over 17 million high school students in the US alone, meaning that our potential for impact and change is huge. And if we take a look at nonprofits, there's over 1.8 million nonprofit organizations, once again, in the US alone, meaning that our potential for impact in both sectors is gigantic. And of course, to ensure that both parties have access on all platforms, it will be available on both iOS and Android. But how are we supposed to reach these customers? Well, let's talk about the go-to-market strategy. Starting simply and locally, I'll start by talking to my friends and peers, pitching CauseConnect and asking them to test it out so that we can continue to grow the app. And of course, starting with local nonprofits like the Boys and Girls Club of Tustin, maybe a local food bank or anything like that, maybe a community center, just making these connections locally. And then after we establish ourselves and continue to grow the app based on feedback, we can continue to expand to schools such as Beckman High School and covering the entire student body, as well as larger organizations going to things like the area division and continuing to grow to statewide and of course nationwide. And going back to students, we'll go from districts to eventually school districts and the State Department of Education. But once again, if you're still confused, we have a pilot rollout to talk about specifically what we plan to do. Like I talked about in the beginning, I'll be starting with Beckman students, my friends, my peers, people in my classes, and of course, going to local nonprofits like the Boys and Girls Club of Tustin or Irvine. And then once we establish ourselves, we can continue to expand to even larger nonprofits, like the Boys and Girls Club of Central Alliance, which includes Irvine, Costa Mesa, Santa Ana, etc. And once again, continuing to grow and continuing to scale, we can eventually level up to the Boys and Girls Club of California Alliance, and eventually the Boys and Girls Club of America. And back to students, going from the Tustin Unified School District, we can eventually grow and go to the California State Department of Education, ensuring that everyone in California has access to CauseConnect. And moving on to our competitive analysis, because like all businesses, we have competitors. We have two here listed, Lion's Heart and Volunteer Match. You can see in the main category that we stand out is a personalized and experience, and I cannot emphasize this enough. All these other organizations simply focus on matching volunteers with a nonprofit, making the experience easier. But what's the problem? These students are grouped together in large groups to make it easy for nonprofits to have large groups of students at their events. But they're just thrown here and there, community gardening, beach cleanup. But who says that's what I'm passionate about? It's important that students find events that matter to them, things they care about, because that's what community service is about. And that's what CauseConnect is about, helping students find volunteer opportunities that matter. Moving on to our streams of revenue, starting on the student side, we obviously have a freemium plan, allowing all students to access CauseConnect for completely free, $0 a month. And this comes with standard access, basic notifications, and of course, our main feature, event signups, allowing them to easily find and sign up for events in their area. But if you're a student looking for that head start on other students, we also have a premium access priced at $1 a month. And this allows students to have priority access to events and gives them the head start on top of other students. And then of course, for schools, we have bulk packages giving premium subscriptions to all students. And then for nonprofits, we have a basic subscription, and for even larger nonprofits, we have a premium subscription, and then sponsored ads for businesses that want to access this target market as well of students. And quickly looking at the projected income statement, you may notice that we don't make profit in the first 3 years, and that's completely intentional. We're focusing on growth and launching the app and getting feedback, because this app is specific for students and personalized, and we want to make sure that it meets their needs and what they're looking for. So, help me bridge the gap between students and nonprofits, helping students find meaningful volunteer opportunities and nonprofits find passionate volunteers, because this is where passion meets service. Thank you.